Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today we are here again with my good friend David Lozeau, and we are going to get into Car Tings episode 2. And honestly, I kind of anticipated that I was going to have you on this quickly again because of the planned trip down here, but I was like, maybe I can slip in a few more other people. But here we are, episode 2, man. You've got 1 and 2, and we're going to throw it down today.
There we go, man. We're out here in downtown Nashville.
I almost forgot.
And yeah, we're gonna jump right into it, really. I mean, we got a few things that we're gonna talk about, and definitely different.
Mainly Prelude stuff.
Yep.
So just don't click off. You know, we're here. We're all here for the Prelude, okay? So we're gonna get into that. The main thing. Do you want to tell the folks what we're talking about?
What are we talking about again?
No, today, guys, we are gonna be talking about.
Sorry.
Today we are gonna be talking about whether or not a Honda Prelude is a good first car. I mean, I get this question, as I'm sure you do, all the time. Is a Honda Prelude, I'm sure most of you are thinking 3rd gen, but really any Prelude, because they're all made within the same time frame. Is it a good first car? Easy to work on, easy to drive.
Yeah. Do we want to jump right into it?
Well, I think first, actually, I'm quite thirsty. We are ranch water, spicy. Never tried it.
Now, I've had this before. Found it yesterday. It's pretty good. This one isn't my favorite, but we'll see. We'll get your honest opinion here in a second. You can smell the spice, right?
Yeah, it smells pretty crazy. I like micheladas, like the beer, so I think the jalapeno and the lime is gonna be good.
Here we go. Just wait, it'll kick in.
Oh, chuggable.
We described it as having like a pepper flake stuck in your throat for a little bit, and you get that that after simmer.
I like it, actually. I'm a fan.
There you go. Give it a go. Cheers. 21 and up. Ranch water's for you. Let's jump into it. Is a Prelude a good first car? I think we break it down a little bit for like price, what you're getting out of it, reliability, stuff like that. So availability.
That's a key component.
With parts and such. So let's start with price. Okay. Because finding a decent Honda Prelude, any year for that matter, whether it's 1st gen to last generation, 5th gen, correct?
5, yeah.
They're gonna run you certain prices, whether you're getting a straight jalopy or you're getting something, real nice. So, average price, what would you say like a desirable Prelude is?
I would say almost any of those generations in half decent condition, okay? I'm not talking showroom, I'm not talking, like it's got blemishes and maybe a few minor mechanical problems, because I feel like that's what most Preludes are when you find them, is they need a very good tune-up, they need new spark plugs, all the things. Any generation, I would say a decent one,
I got a number.
$4,000, I'm thinking, is a very safe, conservative amount of money you could spend on a very decent Prelude.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think it would be tough to find in that $4,000 market, just because there isn't a lot of them out there.
What's your number?
My number was like $665, because I'm thinking the older stuff, great condition, probably find yourself spending 10 to 13 maybe.
On a very nice,
on a very primo, very older
pristine,
one. 3rd gen, original, stock, good.
I'd say, yeah, right, 12 to 13, I think is the demanding price for that. And
then, jump into like 4th gen, 5th gen. $10,000 doesn't seem crazy unreasonable either, because you're getting the new bits faster.
Yep. And there's still a lot more support for those ones, so I think they're more desirable still.
So yeah, price. I guess it's not horrible for a first car, but obviously there's a lot of other things out there for that $4,000 to even $10,000 mark. Mm-hmm. So price, I don't think it's horrible for a first car.
I think it's great.
I think it's good. Great for first car, yeah.
Look at I definitely had people or friends, or not even friends, just people in my high school that got like brand new cars, fresh off the rip, license, and they got a brand new car, and that's easily today. Like you could get a Corolla, cheap car for maybe $25,000.
Are they really that much?
I don't know. Inflation, bro.
I know.
I don't know.
It is crazy, and I think the reason people gravitate towards that is either they're just not into cars and that's what they do, or
it's easy to do.
It's much easier for them to put $1,000 down and then pay monthly versus stirring up $4,000 cash.
And I think that's kind of a trick too that gets a lot of people is you think that you're in your mind, you know you're not paying less, right? But because it's a smaller amount, you're not paying a one lump sum of a fatter amount. You almost feel like you're getting a better deal. But then, I mean, you'd still be paying off that car years and years later. Whereas
when
one and done.
I mean, the only thing you might be saving yourself on is just cost to fix, you know. Might be cheaper just because of parts and stuff like that. But
could be under warranty.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's categorize this into like how good of a first car to. Wait, I don't know if we can hear that. Nashville going off. Someone had a little too much to drink, it looks like. All right, now that we've discussed price, let's go ahead and give like a 1 to 5 star rating of how price is for Prelude as a first car. So, what do you think?
One being
way overpriced, like it's not a good buy.
Not a good investment. Okay, actually, now that I say the word investment, I'm going to give that, what are we doing, 1 to 5?
Yeah, we'll do 1 to 5.
I'll give it a 4.
A 4?
Because I do think, actually, especially if you find a clean body, one that you can either fix up and make even nicer, not something that's going to continue to deteriorate, like so far gone with rust and all that. If you find a decent one, that's pretty much an investment. Like yours and mine, I think, if the day ever comes, and I hope it doesn't, where we sell our Preludes, probably make money on it.
I mean, considering the price that we both paid for ours, which we talked about in the last video, I mean, even right now, we can make a couple $100, no problem. Probably a couple thousand.
A couple thousand, I think.
So,
especially in your case.
Time only tells at this point, and if you can keep it in good condition, then absolutely great investment. So, 4, I'll agree with you there. I think 4 is a great number.
If you can find it. Yeah, now the more we talk about it, it's been a few years since I bought a Prelude, so 6 sounds better to me. I would say we could meet in the middle at 5, and then like that's a pretty average number going into a Prelude.
Sure.
Maybe.
4 stars on price.
4 stars, and what do you think? Let's talk about availability.
Meaning like trying to find one?
Yeah, versus like just a standard.
Okay,
something
sure.
else.
You've determined that you want a Prelude. You can find one for $4,000 to $6,000, correct? Now, where are we going to find one?
Where do you get it?
Where do you get one?
The vending machine, of course.
Prelude vending machine. No, you import them straight from Japan. That's how we both got ours.
Facts.
Good old Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and at least to me, I mean, you're in a more southern state. I'm up in the north department. There is no Preludes to be had. If you find one, it's the only one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things, and that's, I've listed my Prelude before, and, people ask, like, oh, this is going to be my first car. Like, how low can you do? At that point, it's like, well, it's the only one. So it's like, how, do you really want this car, or are you willing to pay the price for it? So, I mean, obviously, if there was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them, the price is going to fluctuate. You'll be a little easier to find them, but it's hard. It's a hard car to find, especially in whatever spec you're looking for.
I think you're dead on with being up north. I mean, especially if the cars lived up north, they got eaten by winter and all that. So there's just probably fewer numbers of them available just to begin with. And then you have a small group, and now you need an even smaller group of people who are willing to sell them, and now you need an even smaller group of people who are selling it at a decent price you can afford. I found mine down south because I wanted that clean chassis, because I didn't look at it as much of an investment as I do now, but definitely glad I didn't, get some rust bucket. And even you think yours is rusty? It's really
it's
not.
Been a few years, man. We got to maybe take that thing down to Tennessee, but it just as much as I try, and I mean, I'm not in there every day cleaning this thing off, but I keep it in the garage now, and just having it parked in the driveway, it's just damp up here. I don't know. It has...
Up in New Hampshire?
Yeah, up in New Hampshire. I mean, from the day we bought it to right now, it looks like a different car in like the rusty areas, if you will. So it definitely has deteriorated over time, and of course, naive me driving it through the salt first year ownership, probably not the greatest decision.
Guilty.
So, yeah, it's going to be tough to find one in good condition, and it's going to be tough to find one, period.
Yeah, and I said it in Tings episode 1, I think. You got to be willing to go and drive for the parts. Don't just, again, be looking, even in an hour, you got to be looking states. I was looking in Tennessee when I lived in Massachusetts. That's an 18-hour drive. So just to put it in perspective, I think look down south. If you're in another country, this may not apply to you, but look down south and be willing to go get it. Book a plane ticket and drive it back, which could be very scary.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, I don't know how imports go at this point, but I mean, both of our cars are old enough for JDM imports, and I think inversely for other countries out of the U.S. A lot of the guys that I knew through the 2G forum were like Canadian and European guys. Those are the majority of the guys who have like really nice, clean ones modded or have all the information you need to know on like how to get parts. So I don't know, maybe you can find something in Canada.
Abroad?
Yeah, abroad that might be a little better for you versus finding something in the States.
Let us know down in the comments if you're in one of those places where you have an abundance of Preludes. I feel like there might be maybe like some random country in South America that's just got them, or
they were the budget-friendly commuter for years, and
Australia's got a number of them.
Okay,
I believe. I could be very wrong, but you could look at importing, I guess. I think you're gonna definitely pay a little bit more, and I think that if you're gonna import, it's really more of a, like you're getting a spec'd Prelude. You're getting probably a right-hand drive. Hopefully, if you're going through all the process of importing it, you get a spec'd out one with four-wheel steer, an SI,
manual,
probably right-hand drive manual.
Yep.
Make
it
worth the money.
Mac Tub there, I think is his Instagram.
Such a legendary third gen.
Incredible car. It made the Connor's third gen, not seem so crazy after we saw this thing. But
it made mine look like a monster truck. Next to
it. This is not the first Prelude that any of us are ever going to find. That thing was unbelievable. I'm sure he paid plenty of money for it.
Probably.
But so I guess if we're going to break it back down to our 1 to 5 scale, let's give it a number, and this is based on availability. So this one's tough, but
it's tough to say it. I already know what it is, but
dude, I'm giving this like a 2 or a 1. Yeah,
I'm at a 2. Yeah,
it's just and that might make it like a deal breaker for most people. Like how long are you willing? Yeah, how long are you willing to sit on money and wait for your first car just to find one, and have the patience to not get one that is, like you said, a rust bucket?
Yeah, be patient with your process. Yeah, it's tough, especially when they're hard to come by and you finally get one, you go look at it, maybe it's a far drive, and now it's like, it's not everything you thought it was gonna be, but now you've taken this journey to get there, and to walk away empty-handed.
It's tough.
It's very tough, yeah.
I mean, I know you made the journey at that point. I'm pretty sure you had your dad like send pictures to you, right?
My dad went and test drove it.
Yeah. So you were like, all right, I gotta feel this out like right now. Am I ready to get it? I knew when I went to go get mine, I mean, you were with me. It was like, at that point, it was like a no-brainer. I was like, we have to get this thing. There's no way we can't not buy this.
Moment from seeing it, I'm like, yeah, that's it.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we'll give that one a 2 stars out of 5.
But that's a good point. I did utilize my dad to get that. And so if you have family or friends that are in other locations, just be like, hey, I'm looking for this car. If you happen to see one online, I'll pay you the gas to like go check it out. And then instantly you've got feet on the ground in a lot more areas. So you could reach out to family, friends, people you know in your network. Or have them physically see the car.
Sure, jump on Instagram forums. I mean, we're not always going to be, me specifically, because I'm not as involved, but I mean, Connor's not always going to be the guy that we can go to be like, hey, do you know anyone that is selling a Prelude, So there's definitely more guys out there. Look around for them, find them on YouTube,
They're on the Discord, guys. There's a link in every video description. We have a Discord channel with quite a few members now. I actually don't know the number offhand, but we're always talking shop about Preludes, people selling parts, buying parts, selling ludes. So, Discord, check it out.
Sending ludes, man.
Sending ludes constantly.
There you go. So yeah, 2 stars for availability, if you will.
Yeah.
It kind of stinks to put it that low because I'd love to see more Preludes around.
You want it to be different.
But I think that number is okay when you look at why it's cool to have a Prelude. So
and what you're getting.
What you're
getting. You're
getting.
getting a rare car.
Yeah.
There's just not. There's fewer and fewer each year that passes. That group is getting smaller and smaller. So that's why investment. I think it is one, especially if you get a clean one. But I mean, kind of on availability. Do we want to discuss availability of parts and reliability?
Reliability and availability on parts. Yeah, absolutely.
And preface this with we have a 2nd gen and a 3rd gen, so we can't really speak for 4th and 5th. Could be different. Could be the same.
It could be different. Could be the same. It's funny how I have an 86 and you have an 88, correct? Mm-hmm. You have carbed and I am fuel injected, which there's pros and cons obviously to one or the other, and that's obviously something you can look out for if you're a first-time Prelude buyer. It's crazy though that 2 years can put such a drastic change in what is available for said cars. And I discovered this right away in the aftermarket world. There is virtually nothing that is easy to get your hands on for aftermarket parts on the Prelude.
I do feel bad for the 2nd G guys.
It's tough, and primarily is suspension and your driver mods. You can get all the maintenance stuff you need pretty easily.
Yeah, driver mod. You managed the steering wheel.
That's true.
That was a cool one.
That was right off of your same video.
Was that the
same hub. Yeah,
really?
CRX. Yeah, they used it for
nice.
Another couple of years. So, anyone in here that watches Connor's videos and has asked me about what hub for the quick release I use, it's the same exact one. So,
CRX. It's been years now. I don't remember the exact.
Yeah, you can scroll through and find it, but it's the same one. And any 2nd gen, any 3rd gen, it's all the same.
That's
it works.
Valuable information right there.
When I had to just look up the spline count really to find out, and I was like, okay, it's the same. It's the same as the CRX. It's the same size. This perfect. It works. But
that's the level of research you have to do with these cars.
Just to get a dinging steering wheel, man.
Yeah, most people are like eBay, just put in my year, make, and model. It is simply not that easy with a Prelude. I mean, reliability. How's it been with the 2G? Is it held up?
I will say, knock on wood, if I had some to knock on. But there we go. Yeah. There's a little something down here. Sure. Perfect. Aside from the battery dying from sitting, and just slowly draining, that thing starts up cold, hot, anytime. First go. I mean, maybe that's just the luck of the draw with the fuel injection, because I know you have some struggle sometimes with getting that thing to start.
Carbureted, yeah.
But no, I turn the key, man, and that thing fires up anytime.
Okay.
No problem. I mean, there's a few hiccups every once in a while. If it's cold, you get idle bounce. But as far as reliability goes, yeah, the thing rocks and rolls.
I mean, I know besides modifications, what have you had to replace or replaced out of precaution?
Okay. Biggest one was power steering lines.
Same here.
Those, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Again, actually, it's on the to-do list.
Power steering lines and brakes. Which I still have to address my e-brake issue, but that was kind of the biggest thing for me. The hoses just get dry rot and stuff breaks. So that's kind of a big thing, I guess. So if you don't know how to do that, I mean, maybe that's
you'll learn though.
Factor in.
Yeah, if you're open to it, you'll learn. It's not overly complicated. I've jerry-rigged plenty of stuff on that car trying to figure it out.
But yeah, in terms of reliability, man, it's more reliable than my newer Audis.
Okay.
And this thing's 30-something years old. With basic technology, it's just, you can get in that thing and drive, no problem. You're going to run into leaks. Hopefully, I haven't had anything with oil. I do have a gas cap situation going on, or it's the gusset, if you will, the tube neck, gas neck. Which I believe there actually was a recall on for a million years ago, which I was like, maybe I can get into
1989.
Honda and try and get that one done, you know?
It'd be a funny video.
Right? It's just like it's an overfill setup. I don't know if there's some
valve.
rust or a hole somewhere, pinhole, but if you fill up the gas tank too much, it'll drip out of the neck. But I don't throw a check engine light, so I'm not getting that like vacuum leak out of it, so it could even be like a leaky seal or something in there. I don't know, but...
Yeah. For almost one of those things, if it's not bad enough, you just kind of forget about it.
just don't fill it up all the way.
Yeah, just
and
be careful.
That's something I mean, everyone has those types of cars, and I feel like the Preludes are very much like that, unless you're getting a super clean one. It's going to have quirks.
Oh, yes.
There's going to be things that you're like, there goes that again.
That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or it works sometimes. I mean, I could, my trunk, if you remember.
Oh, my Lord. Insert the clip from H2O with the...
Clip now.
Yeah.
Also, what was it? I just had a really good one. Brain fart. It's gone.
Cruise control. The Speedo.
There it is.
Yes.
The speedometer. You know, when I first got it, you'd be steady 60 on the highway, and this thing would be just...
For no reason.
And then it stopped working for years, and then I replaced the speedo cable on my last 5-speed swap, and it went back to intermittent. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one, and I just accept that. I have no speedo, and it's not a fast car, so I'm never worried. Like, oh boy, am I going 110? No, I can't go that fast if I wanted to. It's fine.
Yeah, anything close to 90 is terrifying.
In that car,
dude,
you're in a you're in a tin box with no airbags.
Well, that and you're at that point you're getting close to red line on that thing, so she's screaming.
Yeah, 103 horsepower doing everything it can.
Well, that's another good. That's oh god, safety rating. Maybe we'll hit that one at the end real quick.
I don't even know if we should touch on it because
everybody knows that one's an ultimate low.
It's a 0 on a 1 to 5 scale. It's not a safe car. You know, you're taking a risk, I guess.
You're gonna if you're 16, right, and you're trying to get your parents' approval on something like this, you better do some serious convincing because. Yeah, no airbags. The thing's a tin can. You know, you get your speed wobbles when you're going fast. It's in simpler terms, it could be arguably a death trap, but it's fun. And the only thing you got going for you is you're not.
Time to knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean the only thing you got going for you is it's not that fast.
Yeah, it's not that fast, and if you treat the car with respect, I think you don't necessarily put yourself in dangerous situations. It's not fast, so you don't have the availability to put yourself. So if you just don't try to put yourself in bad situations, then I think you'll be A-okay.
Yeah, you just got to look out for the rest of the dummies on the road that didn't buy a Prelude.
Dummies.
So.
Do we give this one a rating? Reliability?
Reliability, I mean, do you want to touch on your side real quick?
Oh, yeah, okay.
You got a way different situation than I did.
Yeah, it may as well be a different car. I mean, it is a different generation, but it may as well be a totally different car being carbureted. It is a vacuum line nightmare. It's just there's so much going on, and there's unfortunately even less information on the internet on how to service it because it's carbureted, and I think people didn't even bother modifying or working on it because of how complicated they are.
I was gonna say I feel like it's more rare to get carb versus the S.
I would agree at this point. Yeah, I think there's fewer of them, and when I see other guys with them, I'm sure to follow them because I'm gonna hit them up with questions. There's far too few of us. Reliability, trying to think of what's actually broken down. The transmission was my own damn fault. So
that was first time.
Yeah, I'm not mad at myself. You know, it happens.
Yeah, how often do you? Yeah, come on.
It doesn't happen, but
it doesn't happen, but it did.
Gosh, yeah. Actually, though, what have I had been forced to replace? Not much.
Other than just general maintenance,
like
no.
Forced to replace. Yeah, I mean spark plugs. I did that right off the rip, like the tune-up, distributor cap, rotor, wires.
You were running into when it was still auto. When you were in Knoxville for the first time, you were running into that like fuel issue. I think you were having where it was just
like
not
bogging out.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't even remember. It was long ago.
I think it was just bad fuel filters.
It could have been, although No, I think we did swap them
Distributor
out on that
cap
trip.
even maybe?
It might have been the distributor cap because I noticed around that time that I had some oil in there somehow. And I was thinking that the wetness of that was causing a misfire and who knows. But, fuel pump. That is one I had to replace.
Okay.
Yeah, that one went out. Yep.
And then obviously power steering.
Yep. That was just hoses. I went the extra step to clean it all up and replace stuff.
So yeah, I mean, pretty low. I mean, if you didn't plan on doing a manual swap, I mean, your only big thing would have been a fuel pump.
Yeah, and then like light bulbs.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That almost doesn't even count. So
yeah,
reliability,
pretty up there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even now, second time around doing the manual trans swap, I mean, other than working out the quirks of like doing a new install like that, I mean, for the most part, other than just the carb motor not loving the cold and like, running that sort of way.
Yeah, it does not like the cold. It's very temperamental. I still haven't figured it out. I've tried tuning the idle screws. I've tried tuning, I don't know. I just play with stuff on that car. I'll pull a vacuum line and see what it does. And I'll put it back on. I'll flip a valve and I'll put it back on and see what it does.
All right.
I'm constantly trying to figure out how to get that idle perfect, and I still can't. So at this point, I'm just riding that motor till it says I'm done.
And then onto something bigger and better.
And then, onto something actually more reliable and supported, like an H. Or I saw a video of a K series, dude, in a third gen, and it really has me thinking.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah. Let's give it a number.
Okay. This one I'm honestly going to give... I'm going to go up, and I want to like break it in half because I think it's pretty good. I give it like a 4 or 5 for...
Got to pick one.
4.5.
Oh, 4.5?
Yeah, I'm going to go right in the middle because I can't call it a full 5-star because you are going to have stuff to fix. But, I ride Honda motorcycles. I don't know if it's just Hondas. I mean, my mom's got an Accord with a million miles on it. It's a Honda. It's going to be reliable for the most part. You just got to be willing to, put in that effort to fix the basic stuff, the stuff that's going to happen with wear and tear. But in terms of catastrophic malfunction, it's never going to happen. It's not really going to leave you that stranded.
Unless you're irresponsible with the car. Yeah. I really would love to give it a 5. But I feel like the only thing that deserves a 5 would be like a warranted brand new car that you have absolutely nothing
no problems, but yeah.
If it breaks, no worries. So therefore, I'll give it a 4 because I'm not a decimal guy.
Okay. But I had to go in the middle, man. It wasn't quite a 4, wasn't quite a 5.
It's fine.
So
pushes up the points.
Bring up the average,
I think the last subject we need to touch on is the ease of actually replacing parts and ease of maintenance. As someone who is looking into this as a first car, who probably, let's assume, has no experience other than they know the difference between a Phillips and a flathead.
Okay. Well, it's going to definitely differentiate depending on what motor you go with, or SI versus carb.
Just try to get the SI.
Yeah, it just seems like it, especially considering like when you were doing the manual transmission swap, there's a whole wiring situation. No?
It wasn't that bad, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like I remembered someone saying something about like the new wiring harness trying to go from the SI, but I think that's just the SI swap, right?
That's if you're doing a fuel injection swap. So that's, then you're replacing the entire vehicle's harness.
Okay.
But I think for the transmission, actually wiring-wise, all I had to do was fool the safety neutral switch and then also wire up the reverse switch.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
Mine's dead.
That was a cut.
I mean, yeah, between the two different motors, like you said, definitely worth just trying to find an SI in any year that you're going with.
If you can.
You just don't have to deal with the carburation issues, like
lack of support on the internet.
So if you can get an SI, great. That's kind of going to be your make or break in terms of the level of difficulty in doing your own work on it. As far as the second gen that I have on the SI, a quick YouTube video is going to like save the day. Super easy stuff. I mean, you don't need special tools. You could pretty much get most stuff done with like needle nose and screwdrivers.
10 mil.
And a 10 mil, yeah. I mean, every hose clamp has got either a flathead or a 10 mil. A spark plug tool would be good to have just to pull spark plugs out.
Yeah, I had it opposed to the BMW. I haven't had to rent a single specialty tool for
Yeah.
that car.
I mean, you could pretty much get away with anything, and yeah, minimal tools. It's not too hard. It is definitely a little overwhelming when you're looking in the engine bay and you got all these cables and cords and wires and vacuum lines.
Very much.
Just takes a little research to go online, watch a video, and actually pinpoint exactly what the area of the car you're working on to know what it is. But overall, pretty easy, man. A lot easier than the newer systems, for sure.
That's a good point, and more serviceable. So like there's situations on a newer car where if it does break, you actually have no DIY option. You have to take it to the dealership. I think for the third gen or any Prelude, I suppose, yes, I agree on I think it's, more importantly here, I think it's a good platform to learn on. So no matter what you walk into experience-wise, whether you have some or not on cars, I think it's a wonderful platform to learn on. And although it sucks, like doing the research sometimes, it is boring to look at a wiring diagram, but once you do it, you really understand. It's just the more you know.
The more you know. And I will say, obviously I would hate to see someone just try and wing stuff and potentially damage the car.
Or not be able to reassemble it.
But, I mean, it's a Honda. I feel like it's something that you could like drive around with like tons of vacuum lines undone and the thing's still going to work.
You might have to give it a little gas at the idle so it doesn't die. But
so like you can't really go too wrong when you're doing your own work. I mean, obviously do your due diligence to do it correctly. But I mean, if you mess something up, like it's not that detrimental.
I think the only way you can really mess up is if you break the part, because finding a new one's going to be tough. So be very fragile when you're learning. Don't treat it like it's an antique. It is an antique. So don't break stuff.
Okay, yeah, true. Ease of working on. Definitely doable. Like you said, great car to learn on. The only thing I will say along the lines of like being delicate is a lot of this stuff is gonna just probably have a lot of rust over on it, and that like goes with being easy. Like some of these parts, even with suspension, like you're gonna have a nightmare trying to get a bolt out if you strip that head, because there's no other way to get it out other than to use the top of the bolt to unscrew it.
Yeah.
So if you start running into issues like that could be a big deal breaker for some people. If you don't have the patience for it to like work at it slowly, it's not like our newer cars where we can just blast it with PB blast and use an air tool. Like if you put an air tool on some of this stuff, it's turning to dust.
Yeah, disintegrated.
So that isn't always the easiest to work on.
Yeah.
Or loosening something that hasn't ever been loosened for 30 years. It doesn't like it.
Yeah, I like finding those little crevices of my car that hasn't been touched in that amount of time. Gosh, it is such a fun car, though. I mean, I really can't recommend it enough. I think summarizing all that, I really can't recommend the third gen specifically enough to people. Preludes, I think we're a smaller and smaller community, so the more we can grow it, the better, and the more we can help each other, the better. So there's potential. Yeah,
and I haven't met someone in the Prelude community that has like pushed you away for, the clout, the scene. 9 times out of 10, someone wants to help you. They're interested. I mean, my car's not over the top, modded stance, whatever. You could find someone with a stock Prelude, someone with an absolutely insane Prelude like we saw down at H2O on air, right-hand drive, the whole 9 yards. They look at each other's car like exactly the same. They're like, that's cool. I'm so glad that you also have this,
Yes, well put. And it's, even though I got a flat tire right after, I was so excited to see another third gen the other day. And
right? It's just...
Even if you're in the nicest third gen and you see a clapped one driving, you're still excited because you just don't see them.
Yep.
You just don't. So it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I mean, so... take what you will for it. I mean, it's tough to say no when you really want a vehicle, but put some of that stuff into consideration. It may not be for you if, the money doesn't work, if the safety thing's an issue. I mean, you just have to take it all into consideration.
Where you live.
You live, too.
If you have winter and that's your only vehicle.
Front wheel drive.
Think about it.
not a ton of options for tires if you're running the stock wheels. It's just, there's going to be things that are good, bad. It's kind of up to you to decide whether or not it works for you.
And always assume it's worse off than what you see.
Yep. And I would, we can summarize it up here in a minute if you want. But, I mean, what do you think, like, overall for first car? Like, let's jump right back into that.
If I could have, I would have.
Yeah?
If I had even known about the Prelude back then. I didn't even know that car. And I knew cars, but I didn't.
Imagine having that for our first car. God, yeah.
Yeah, I had way better than my 1999 Soccer Mom Passat. That would have been sweet to have a Honda Prelude.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine the Prelude guy you would be now.
And to have owned it already for that long would have been really cool.
Been an encyclopedia for Preludes.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping to create.
I mean, even now.
Generations.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is, depending on the type of condition that you buy your Prelude in, might be like the make or break, because in some states where you need to pass inspection for like stuff working or not, and not being able to find parts or this or that, that might be a better off second car versus a first.
A weekender.
When
you can afford it and have the time for it.
And that's the other thing. Obviously, we love to drive our cars. Like, I always encourage people to drive their cars. It's like, it's great. That's why you bought it. It's what it's for. But if you have an absolute gem and you want that thing to hold value, you're probably not going to be driving it 24/7 if that's the type of car enthusiast you want to be. So again, maybe that isn't the first car that you want to have.
I think that the platform has those types of folks, and I think there's also a lot of folks who are like, it's a cheap Honda that I can learn on.
Yeah.
And just figure out.
I think it's definitely a good car. If it's something you're not willing to put a ton of time into, get a Civic.
I think if you're
those
watching
are disposable.
This video, though,
Yeah.
I think you already know you have enough interest in it, and once you have one, I think that interest level will go up even more. Before we give the Honda Prelude a final overall score between 1 to 5, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, yeah. Great first car. Honestly, I think it's a good first car. If you have the money for it, you're willing to put in a little time to fix it and do research to hunt down some parts that you may find break or need to replace. It's a great first car to learn on. It's fun. It's cool. It's going to be a head turner. Someone is always going to ask you what it is. Typically, they're going to ask if it's an Accord.
And if it's for sale.
Yeah. And it's going to make owning something that maybe you don't have a whole lot of money to put into that much more while, because it's cool as is.
It's cool as is, and you can do a lot with a little bit of money.
Sure.
Maybe not the big stuff, but you can personalize it.
Absolutely.
On the low. I mean, people ask me all the time about the Accord side skirts and all that. Dude, I got it at a junkyard for $15. I just had to paint it and cut it.
Yeah, right? I have the front lip off of an old Volvo.
That's right.
And I bought that for like $60 from some guy on Instagram.
Yep. And the Peugeot spoiler that got yard saled to me from my dad. So
found that in my dad's basement, and we put it on in an afternoon.
Get creative. Just get creative, and you'll figure it out and make it your own and find a way to be happy with it. It's not hard to be happy with it. Like you said, I think once you have it, it's a gem. You're going to enjoy it.
And you're not going to want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
No matter how frustrated you might be with it, or you may see the green side of like, man, I could flip this and make some money. You're not going to want to get rid of it, because once you do, you're never going to find the same one again.
Yep. There is that level of rarity now, which is cool. Shout out to being some loot owners and keeping it real.
Dude.
Man, it's been awesome having you on again. Thank you for chilling here on Car Tings episode 2. Don't know when. Do you have plans to come back soon? Tennessee?
I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but I love it here, so obviously I'd like to make it back as quick as I can. I mean, at this point, it seems inevitable. Maybe I should just like move on out here. Loot around town.
Ooh, could be cool. Might be a couple lewds chilling in chat, but
get the other third gen out there too. We'll have a whole little Prelude complex, man. Can you imagine that?
Over here.
Holy crap.
Hopefully, man, that'd be really cool. It'd be great to have you down here. We could do this sort of thing a lot more often. But, you know, guys, thank you for tuning in. It's been very real. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did sitting here with Dave and chatting some lewd stuff. Be sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. All right, reset.
We dropped the ball.
Hold on. We're going to now give our final rating on the Honda Prelude. Dave, forgot the main point.
I mean, we had a few different star ratings for different stuff. I'm not going to go off what the average is, really. I think that it deserves its own number. Overall rating, I'm going to probably have to give it a 4. I think that's a great number.
That was the least confident 4.
All right, hang on. Let me try this again. It deserves a 4.
All right. Gosh, now I really want to use a decimal.
You decimal dog. I think for an overall rating, versus just going off the average of what our stars were, I'm going to try and come in right in the middle with like a 3.7. And I think that's just because it's, for me personally, it's based on where you live. That would determine whether or not it's going to be a good car or not. Everything else is going to stay exactly the same wherever you are in terms of parts, reliability, this, that. But like you brought up with winter conditions, yeah, it's not a northern East Coast car for sure if it's your only car. There's no way you're going downtown with your boys, you know, or going to a car meet. If there's a little snow on the ground, good luck. You're going to destroy that car, or you're not even going to make it to the meet. So
Probably.
yeah, based off of weather, I'd probably give it like a 3.7 just because you either are in an area where it works for you or you're not.
Okay.
So that's my final rating, 3.7.
I'm going to go back in my decimals because there's just, I so badly with every ounce of my heart want to give it a 5.
Okay.
Just because I love it. But reality, we're in the 3s. And I would agree with you. It's a hard number, and I'm going to give it 3.9.
3.9.
Just under 4.
Just under 4.
Yeah. And again, I think because of availability of parts, that can really frustrate people. And if you can't find the part to fix it, then you're out of the game.
Yep, I would agree. And I mean,
It's just a tough reality.
if there's other cars that you have your eyes on, I mean, put that number into perspective. I mean,
Do the same evaluation Dave and I just did on that car, and
then see where it goes from
see
there.
what you still think. Yeah.
I mean, from, you know, quickly touching on the German side of things, you could find a German car for the same price, and that thing is going to be an absolute nightmare for you to work on for your entire ownership. So,
Yeah.
you know, it could be like, okay, this is a great buy, this thing's awesome, but I mean, you got to do the same process of elimination and go over those things that really work for you in terms of like a first car, and figure it out. But if you can make it work,
Yeah.
get a Prelude.
Yeah.
If you can find one.
If you find one, get them at the right price, and then just be very real about the expectations of work you're going to have to put in to learn how to fix it and get it in proper shape. Just be real with it, because they're not in the best shape, most of them. But they're still gems. You got to drive them. Please drive them. Cool,
There
man.
it is.
I think we got our numbers in. Let's go have fun.
All right.